Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll go over the Botpress HubSpot integration. This is an integration that we created, so it's best if we show you how to use it and everything that went into it and how it works behind the scenes. So today we're going to be talking about the contact cards. We're going to have a look at the integration master document that we created. This is more of a guide that will help you to figure out how to use the entire integration, everything from contacts, companies. Today we're only focusing on contacts, so we're just going to go to that section and we'll go to the contact actions. So if we have a look in the contact actions, we have get a contact, create a contact, delete, update, and search. The first one that we'll see is get a contact. And to get a contact, simply provide the contact ID in the field, and it will return to you all of the necessary information and properties for that contact. This will come back as a string data. I'll show you how to deal with that later so that you can get an actual JSON object out of it. Next up, we have the create a contact. So when you're creating a new contact, you should include at least one of the following properties: email, and then either first name or last name. It's always recommended to include email because it is unique and it will avoid duplicates in HubSpot. This is how your properties object is going to look like. So this is what you will actually pass into the create contact card. Here we see that we only have 6 properties. However, there are a lot of internal HubSpot properties that you can use. This is just simplified for our use case so that we can just understand how it works. And then from then on, you can go off on your own and figure out which internal properties that you want to change. After that, we have an easy one. It's just deleting a contact. You want to delete a contact, you just provide the contact ID and it will be wiped from your HubSpot CRM. Next, we have updating a contact. If you want to perform a partial update of a contact identified by your contact ID, all you have to do is just provide the property values and they will be overwritten. Read-only and non-existent properties will be ignored. So that is a setting that you will set in HubSpot. However, anything else that you put into here will be updated. If you have a look at the JSON object, it is almost exactly the same as the create a contact. So you can adjust this however you please. If you don't want to change something, don't put it in. If you want to change something, make sure that that internal property ID is there. And then after that, it's the value of what you want to change it to. You'll be seeing a lot of this going forward when we switch over to Botpress. So this is just grabbing the workflow variables from Botpress and dynamically changing the JSON objects. And lastly, when updating a contact, you got to make sure that you provide a contact ID or else we will not know which contact needs to be changed. Next up, you have searching for contacts. To understand how this works, I'll show you quickly here, and then later on in Botpress, I'll show you in a bit more detail. So here you have the filter object. Right here is your filter groups, and here are the filters. You can have multiple filters if you want to do something a bit more of a complex search, or if you want something easy like this, you can just check for email is equal to example@hubspot.com. So this is just a simple use case. However, you can have as many filters as you want if you want to make a more granular search. Then you have the sort section. So the sort section just tells HubSpot how you want your data returned. So in this case, we want it returned on create date, and we want it in descending order based off of the created date. Again, this can be alphabetical, this can be ascending, descending. It's really up to you how you want to do the search, but it's here so that you can access your contacts a lot easier if you don't know those contact IDs. Then you have the properties right here. The properties is the internal HubSpot properties that you want returned. You don't need all of the information returned for your contact. You can just pick which properties you want. So in this case, I want create date, first name, last name, and email returned to me, and that's all. And then I limit that to 100 returns. In our case, we won't have 100, but you can set it to whatever you want if you have over hundreds of contacts in your HubSpot. On the left over here, you'll see how it looks in the HubSpot contact card. And finally, just a quick tip before we get into Botpress, extracting the contact ID from searches. Here is an example of the code that is necessary to extract a contact ID from the search action. So you can use this execute code card. What we do here is we get the workflow.search get contact response. So this is just the response object of the search. Then we parse that into an object and we pull out the data. Then if we want the results, they are returned to us in an array. So if I want the first object, I'll just put a 0 here at the 0 index and then .id, and this will return the first search result from my search. Let's switch over to Botpress here and I'll show you how the HubSpot context flow works. Right here, I will be going through each and every single contact card so that you understand how they work and how to parse that JSON out. The first thing that we'll talk about is the create contact card. So very easy. All I do is just ask for the email address. I will create my contacts object, set that into user.properties. That user.properties will then go into here because that is the contact card object. This gets passed into HubSpot. It knows all of the information it needs to create that contact. We save that in create contact response. And right here, we change that into a JSON. And then we pass that data into workflow.response so that I can show you how that object is shown on the left-hand side. From there, I just grab the contact ID and I save it so that we can mess around with it later. Now let's run through a create contact with the bot. If I start this bot, go to contacts flow, drop down, create contact. If I enter my email ID, I hit enter. And as we see, we got a success true, contact created successfully, and all the information right here. If we check over here on the left-hand side now for our response object, you see that the properties are right here, Enviro, Milos, Enviro, Milos. That is exactly the information that we passed in here. If we move over to HubSpot, you can see that the contact has been created right here. For the next part, we'll do a get contact. So for my get contact, I am checking for the email. All I'll do is enter the email. I'll pass that into the query payload here, user.email. So this is what we will use to do a search first so that we can get the contact back. And then for the get contact, all I do is just pass in that user ID that I got from the search. So don't worry about that too much now. We'll look at that later. Let's do a run through here of the bot. Contacts, get contact. I'll enter the email that we have in HubSpot, which is this one. And if we see here on the left side, we can see that the email has populated, the user ID has populated. And if we check our response object, we can see that the properties for that contact card have been returned. Now let's have a look at updating your contact. For this card, all I do is grab the first name, the last name, because I want to change those. Then I create my user properties object. I'll be changing the email as well, along with the first name, last name, phone number, and company website should remain the same. And that gets stored into my user.properties right here that you can see on the left-hand side. From there, I pass in the contact ID, which we'll get from the previous run. And then I'll pass in the user properties ID. I'll do the exact same thing. I'll store that response and then output that. So let's try update contact here from the flow. Contacts flow, we'll do a get contact first to get that user ID. Then I'll do an update contact. I'll enter my first name, so I'll just do Daniel. And I'll enter my last name. Awesome, so we got a success message true. If I go back to my HubSpot and if I do a refresh, you should see that the name has changed from Milos to Daniel and the email has changed and the phone number is. Going back to HubSpot, we look through creating, getting, and updating. Now let's have a quick look at searching. So for searching, it's not a user properties object. What you will be creating is a query payload for your filter groups, your properties, your limit, and your after. So this is my query payload for the search that I want to run. All I'm doing is just checking for users with this email. I want it sorted in create date as descending, and I only want the first name and the last name returned. We'll save that in user.query payload, which you can see on the left-hand side, and then we will pass only that into our search contacts. From there, again, we'll just store that response and work. Now let's have a look at search contacts. What I want to do is search for this contact here. And as we can see, the email is dan@g.com. So if I go into here, I want to construct my query payload first. So I want it for the email to equal. This is what we'll be searching for. So let's hope it returns something. Put that into our search contacts, save that JSON once, and then output. Let's run our bot here, go through the contacts flow, do our search. Awesome. We get a success message. If we have a look at the response right here, it's in an array at index 0, and we have a look at our properties. We got Daniel returned to us, last name Arsic, perfect. Finally, let's have a look at the delete contact. We're actually just going to do this manually because it's a lot easier. If we have a look on the left-hand side, we can see that ID from dan@g.com. If we enter that entire ID there, and then we go on our left-hand side, then we can run the contacts flow, do a delete contact, and return true, deleted successfully. Let's check our HubSpot, do a refresh, and that contact is gone. So in this video, we ran through the entire HubSpot contacts flow. We did create, read, update, delete, and search. Those are all you really need to manage your contacts. You can create a lot of cool applications with this, and we will be releasing some templates for that. If you want this template, make sure to click the link in the description below for our Skool community, and that way you can access these templates for free. If you want access to our integration master document, click the link in the description and join our free Skool community, where we have a lot of different Botpress integration videos coming out soon, as well as a lot of other free content that will bring you a lot of value. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll hope to see you in the next video.